Oh God, it's good. But it's just again, like I say mind shift. Mind shift for me is really hard to say. I don't even know if that's a word. I think I'm trying to say mindset, but I turn mind shift into mind shit, and then mind shit makes me laugh because it is all mind
I'm
shit.
shit. I think it is.
Well, it's just in personal growth in general. Let's just say that as an overall statement. It's like I want to improve, and I also know that I'll use myself as an example actually. So when I did my very first workshop, like online workshop, like a couple people came, and I remember being really excited about that, but there's versions of people in the world that go, "Oh, there's 5 people here. This is an absolute failure." And so the context was something around how do you move forward when you're not being honest with yourself, because this person was feeling really low self-worth because nobody came to the workshop, or nobody is hearing my message that I have to share. And I'm still trying to actually understand the question, because I literally cannot comprehend, like, what do you mean you're not being honest with yourself? It's like, if I think it had to do with like in your feelings, it's like I felt like it was a failure, but I'm trying to talk myself out of it being a failure. But it's like if you felt that, then that's what's real. Like, how you can't not be honest when feelings are present, because it's just that's what it is. So if you're trying to lie your way out of having a different mindset, perhaps.
That's the dishonesty, it seems like.
Yeah.
But even the fact that you can uncover that there's something dishonest there, I think is also part of the honesty. So,
It's part of the honesty.
is that even a valid question
Right.
of, am I dishonest with myself? Maybe the dishonesty isn't with yourself, but it's with the world because,
Yeah. Or maybe it's you're not being honest about the right part of that,
hmm,
where you're not being honest that you want more people at the workshop because you want your voice to be heard by more people. Whatever. Let's just say it's that example. And so the dishonesty is being upset that you only had, I don't know what I'm even trying to say here. But anyhow, the resolution to this was, can we just notice what you're actually feeling? Right? Again, feelings, going back to feelings, we're always talking about feelings, but I mean, they do matter.
fucking feelings.
Fucking feelings.
First, they didn't because we were
First,
like,
they
fuck,
don't
fuck
matter.
your feelings. And also,
I know, but the resolution is also fuck the feelings, because the feelings there.
but we can say fuck the feelings because and I say that really humbly, I think, have allowed them to exist.
Right. And
I
that's the
know that
thing.
they're
That's
there.
the ticket.
Also, they don't mean that much to me because they're just like every other experience that I'm having. There's not a ton of weight to them. Yes, they so much matter to our little hearts and our little egos. And that's the part of the honesty that you have to step into is what is actually the feeling here? You feel disappointed, you feel misunderstood, you feel inadequate, obviously. You're
Low self-worth,
right.
not worthy. Who am I to do this? That's kind of, the feeling. And it's like,
Right.
great, then sit in that.
And uncover, exactly.
Sit in it.
Continue to ask yourself questions. Those are all valid questions to ask yourself. Who am I to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to answer the question. To me, you have to complete that circle. A lot of people, they leave everything open ended where it's like, I've got these questions, like, oh, who am I to do this? And then you just sit with the thought. You don't even go into the answer of it, right? You're just like,
Yeah.
well,
I know. And
there's
also
a
though,
question.
here's perception again, because you can ask yourself, who am I to do this? Or you can go, who am I to do this? It's the same question. It's got a completely different tone and feeling behind it. And
It's an
it's like those
energy.
answers are going to be so wildly different too. And it's like, which one do you want to lean into?
Yeah, they can. And I've noticed, at least for myself, when I go into, because pessimism is my very first thought. And so I'm pessimistic first. I have the question of, well, who am I? Like, woe is me. And as I answer those questions, you get to a point where you don't have any more answers to that
Mhm.
pessimism, then you sort of have to see the light of it all because that's also what's left. You've gone down into the dark depth, and what you realize is you can still kind of see there's still something there for you to crawl out of the hole with,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and your excuses are no longer reasonable.
You're not reasonable. And that too, there's something about vocalization about the absurdity that makes it more absurd and more absurd, where then you get to laugh at it because what the fuck are you even talking about?
What are you talking about? You're lying to yourself?
You're
Good luck.
lying.
Good luck lying to yourself.
Like,
You
show.
always know. Yeah. How do you lie to, like, do you believe yourself when you're lying?
And it's so funny now that we are even bringing this up because, like, I feel like I have this thought a lot of the times. I think maybe a lot of people do when you're like with your family and like you feel like you know the person. And so there's this level of they're lying to themselves, but they're not lying to themselves. They know fully well what is happening and what they're doing, and maybe not the reasons why, but probably for the most part why it's there. They just don't wish to uncover it. But the lie is really for us to perceive them in different ways so that that feeling of misunderstood is no longer there. That self unworthiness, like they're trying to get us to make them feel worthy. But the
Mhm.
truth is, that's not what you feel. And that's okay.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. So it's giving permission or the allowance to actually feel what you feel so that can be the thing that shifts, not the outward. Do we call that people pleasing again? Like, is that part of that, do you think, or self-pleasing?
Yeah.
Does it even need a label? Maybe
Well,
not.
really, it's just an attachment to an outcome that you desire.
Mhm.
We all have desires. We all have things that we want to happen in our lives or for ways to for things to unfold. But the difference is the attachment to it. You don't need to attach your worthiness or your happiness to the outcome itself. Sure, it's going to feel good that 100 people came to my workshop. But only if only 5 people come to my workshop, I've had 2 people come to my workshop. 2.
Right. I'm like, "Yay!"
And
Because
I
there's
gave them
2
everything
people
that
that
I
are
had
hearing you.
because why the fuck not? It
Right.
doesn't matter if the room is full.
Mm-mm.
I couldn't have given a fuck less about that because I wasn't attached to the number of people that were showing up. I mean, was there an attachment there? Probably. And I think more so my attachment was the level of service that I'm going to provide the folks that are in this room, whether it's
Right.
100 or 1.
Right. Be attached to how you're moving into whatever action it is that you're doing. If you're gonna attach yourself to something, make it the intention.
Yeah, I actually remember now that you say that I wrote this post a while ago. Attach yourself to the joy,
Mhm.
things that light you up. For so long in my life, I've been attached to all of these negative feelings. And I think we all do that so well. But holy fuck, are you chasing the thing that brings you the joy and the calm and the peace? Attach yourself to those moments, the moments in which you are actually being of so much service to somebody else that you've brought on a smile or you've made them change their mind about something that they were feeling negatively about. Like that to me is what I'm attached to. Like, how well can I uplift somebody else? Because
Yeah.
that's just going to bring it back to myself, right? The moment I see you smile, I smile too. It's like, it's inevitable.
Attachment to service.
That's big. So a lot of people don't know that everything is of service to ourselves and other people. Even in the ways in which we don't think it's true, it's probably even more heavily so.
Mhm.
We're so interconnected and the butterfly effect is so real. Everything we do has an effect on somebody. And if that is true, then are our actions in alignment with service?
I wanna stop using the word attachment now though, because it's starting to feel icky. It's more like a devotion to service.
So what's the difference? Let's talk about that. What do you feel like the difference between an attachment and a what'd you say?
Devotion.
A devotion is?
Attachment to me feels like there's, a requirement or like a desire that there's an outcome that comes to the
A need.
attachment, a need. Yeah, whereas devotion is just pure servitude to it,
Hmm.
and it's more of like a, we talk about sacred being, where you're so involved in what it is that you're doing that you can't help but be, and you're so involved in your being that you can't help but do
Mhm.
that.
I like this. Yeah. With devotion, it's not even the want doesn't even necessarily exist. It's just an embodiment. It's a place, a state of being that is so pure hearted. I think that's what you're getting to.
Devotion in terms of religion or that too, that feels different. Right. That's different too, because there's probably the act of devotion.
Mm,
So there's this action behind it, there's rules, there's a set of circumstances, like this thing that structures it versus just the feeling of and the being of devotion is going to feel and look different for everybody, because what are we devoting ourselves to?
that was my next question. What are we devoting ourselves to rather than what are we attaching ourselves to? Let's throw attachment out the window. Where does our devotion lie?
So
It's also a sense of being as well. This is an embodiment that you have stepped into.
it's like I can't help but improve being around my kids. They're just such mirrors of every tiny little thing that scratches at me.
Mm,
They're mirrors of it. I can't help but want to be my best self having children. I mean, that's me. Maybe that's not everyone's experience,
yeah.
but it just every day I'm thinking about, how can I show up better, better, a better me for them. It's
Yeah.
also for me. Like, don't get me wrong.
Course. And so yeah, then I'm curious, is it them as the mirror that creates the essentially the devotion to yourself, or is it the devotion to yourself that allows you to be in such presence with your children that
Mhm.
is also
Yeah, maybe one doesn't exist without the other. Maybe they feed each other.
what a beautiful cycle.
Mhm.
And there's some truth, some honesty with oneself that they're
Mhm.
they go hand in hand, and that the what people would assume is selfishness of the going back to the devotion of the self is actually selflessness, and that's how you give to your children is through that self devotion of wanting more for yourself because it also gives you the ability to want to give more to them and to be better for them. It's
Mhm.
is the cycle. And I think there's some honesty that people aren't willing to say because it does sound very, very selfish to want more for oneself.
Right. I think I talked about this on an older YouTube channel.
Mm.
Selfishness with right intention is selflessness,
Mhm.
which leads to a whole other question though. It's like who's to say what intention is right? And of what mind is that intention coming from?
Yeah, that's something that I've always questioned, or rather, I mean, yeah, pondered on in yoga and how there's this right thinking, righteousness, and like
Mhm.
where does that come from? Where's the foundation of right thinking or right action? Who's making the rule or the foundation for that to go in one way or the other? Is it the self? Is it a consciousness that we all sort of are partaking in and agree on? Like where does that come from, and does it really exist? Is it a manifestation of our own creation? I don't know. I don't have the answer. Those are the thoughts that I have as I, dive
Right.
deeper and
That's kind of
deeper
the only thing that
into
it can be, because think of like deep religious, I was going to say cults. I guess they're cults. Groups. We'll use the
organizations.
organizations. What's right to them is probably not right to us, but there is a wholehearted devotion to that right thinking in those groups.
Something that came to me just now that I maybe will continue to unravel here and later, going back to this again idea of like self devotion and servitude to other people, is that is potentially right thinking the process that allows us to be in service of other people, be in service of ourselves, elevate the consciousness of the world, bring people back to oneness, wholeness, not that we're fragmented, but we feel like we are. We're
Mhm.
always already whole, complete, beautiful, wonderful, all of those fucking joyous things.
We
But
are,
that's
but we don't have access to it for
not the feeling, right? And it's a matter of remembering that that's what our life is the remembrance that that's the truth.
Mhm.
But how then in it maybe right thinking, right action is the things that bring you back to that remembrance of that wholeness and that oneness. Because then what is the opposite, right? If right thinking is this, then wrong thinking is separation. It is disservice,
Connection, disservice, yeah, to the
disconnect.
self, to others, yeah. It's
Yeah.
making me think of, like, road or, like, the bumpers at the bowling alley,
Yeah.
you know? You're the bowling ball, and karma is the bumpers, if we wanted to circle back to karma, where it's like it's gonna bump you back on track if you're listening and if you let it. If you've got the bumpers up, it'll kinda keep you on track. You might veer off and maybe go the wrong direction a little bit, but you don't need to go all the way
To the
off track
left.
if yeah,
Yeah.
into
You
the
don't actually have to hit the bumper.
lane
You can
adjacent.
just set that
You can
ball
also
straight
just
on,
fucking get a strike. Yeah,
which leads me to another question, kind of in relation to karma, is that let's just say, for example, someone is constantly in action of right thinking or right action. Is it true then? Do they not experience karma? Is that what we're saying?
that's a great question. I mean, show me someone who's always in right action, though.
It's true. This is
But
true.
if we're just imagining, then why not? Maybe they cleared it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's been cleared.
Yeah. Well, I guess to answer my own question, I think there's levels to karma as well. Like we have our own
Absolutely.
personal karma, but then there's karma that exists as we're tied to one another. And so there's these other levels that aren't necessarily mitigated by our own actions, but the actions of those around us. And so there's potential maybe there for karma to come into play, not by our own actions, but in the actions of proximity,
Mm,
because proximity makes, it's all about vibrations and energy. The closer we are to something, the more it's going to have
yeah,
an effect on us. And
yeah.
so even if our right action is right action, somebody else's other action is going to have an effect. But then now my other question is, why then is not my right action affecting them in a positive way where it's their karma is being cleared by my own
Yours
activity?
because it's your own and their own. Right, but maybe these people that are just getting strikes and you're saying are not experiencing karma are the ones that are successfully lying to themselves.
We've nailed it.
Nailed it. There it is.
Okay, this is I'm going to go super left really quickly because I think this actually has a lot to do with like the way that the world is turning and the things that are happening in our everyday life right now, where there are things that feel very much wrong and out of our control. And so I then beg to question, is that what's happening with the folks that are putting these wrong actions into play? Are they so good at lying to themselves? They've convinced themselves that it is right action, therefore it is, and there's no karma attached.
Mhm.
That's truly what I believe. I feel like the people that are doing these heinous things actually feel good and right about it. There's no guilt, there's no attachment. And so
Right. Which is
without
scary
all of that, what is karma then? It kind of can't exist if there's nothing to thread it to.
in this lifetime.
Well, and I think also on a personal level, right? There's still, like I said, that other layer of karma that exists that's collective. That's not
Mhm.
a personal thing of I did to you or I did to myself and then karma exists. It's like you're now you're in collective karma, and so that one thing has a great effect on the world, and that has consequences that are going to play out in some way or another, but it's not so immediate to them, right? It's not like they
Maybe
make
this is where soul agents come into play too.
yeah, absolutely.
They're the ones that are creating the karma
Karma.
for the future. It's all just part of it. And with that, nothing's ever right either. We just get to be here to discern and make choices. And that's why I think it's just so important to continue to be in your world as much as possible too. like with everything that's going on globally, there is I don't know, go make an impact if you can, but you know where it's going to make the biggest impact is right in your backyard.
Absolutely. Right.
Going back to the 2 people at your workshop, it's like, these are the ones, they wanna listen to you. These are the ones whose message will hit. Your message will hit, and let them go and spread that message to their 2 people. That'll escalate quickly.
I wholeheartedly agree. And it's funny that you say that because there was a conversation that came up maybe sometime last week about this specifically of being so involved in the world and the chaos and the things that are happening and how us knowing about it doesn't necessarily make an impact and us posting and sharing and doing
Mhm.
all things
Yeah, yeah.
isn't actually moving the needle. And while I think there's some truth to that, there's also not. That's also false. Me bringing awareness to somebody else who then opens a door for them to take their own action, right? Sometimes it doesn't need to be an act in order for it to be a movement. A movement exists on its own. It's not something that necessarily dies if it doesn't have to. And so if I can create impact through a movement, I don't actually
Mhm.
have to do anything. The
Mhm.
movement is going to do it all by itself through the other people that it invites in, and they get to take action.
Sure. So the solution is do not, whatever,
Pick one.
pick one.
Do it well or don't
Pick
do it at
one
all.
with intention.
Intention. Look at us, purposefully aligned.
Ugh, so aligned. So speaking of the internet, and I don't know, did you bring up politics? Maybe a little bit.
Sure did.
I was having this thought the other day because I was loading the bikes on the bike rack, and I was fucking mad about it. Like, mainly because my kids' bikes are tiny and they don't fit on the bike rack. And so I went to Google and I was like angry Googling, right? I'm like, how the fuck do I get a fucking kid's bike on a fucking bike rack? And then I started thinking about how funny it would be if there was angry Googlers or angry Googling, like,
Like
I don't
angry
know, that
texting, but angry
angry
Googling
texting.
never is like a thing.
Was it a thing? Okay,
Angry
because I totally
texting.
looked it up. I looked up angry Googling, and the only thing I saw was like angry headlines for news, and it was very political. I was like, boo, not that. I was looking for funny stuff. Yeah, but angry Googling, it made me
Yeah,
laugh.
it's like angry texting when you're like in the mood of I'm gonna give them a whole another asshole.
Movement.
You're angry texting. You have not experienced the hatitude.
I haven't experienced the hatitude, but I thought angry Googling was funny.
That is
And
funny.
it would be fun to be like, when it does the autofill, like see what people are angry about, angry Googling about would be a fun.
How you have to start with how the fuck
How
and
the
then
fuck? Yeah.
see
Yeah,
what
or why the fuck does, yeah, something like that. So
that's
anyway,
a task for us for later because
that's a later task.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, just to see, ooh, what's coming up in the collective. Yeah. Turns out there's not a good way for kids' bikes. I just like basically put them on top and strapped them on.
Make it as secure as possible.
Yeah. But speaking of angry texting, that brought me to another idea because lately I've been really catching myself on my over explaining.
Yes.
So I'll like text the whole ADHD backstory, and then I don't have to. I'm choosing to like delete, start over, and then just literally ask the question. But I find that sometimes I have to go through the process first
Yes.
and then read it and discern, okay, this is what I actually need, and then delete the rest. I've been noticing myself do that more and more. I don't know, this vacation that I was just on, speaking out loud too. Like I was picking huckleberries with a friend and we were on a leisurely hike and a walk and it was beautiful and like whatever, we're just chatting. So I went to tell him a story, or not even a story, like tell him a point or reflection about what the conversation was. And I started the sentence. I was like, oh, but, and then I reversed in time. And then I went, oh, but, and then I reversed in time even more to like create this whole backstory that just wasn't necessary. And he has ADHD too. And so he was just along for the ride. But I stopped myself and I was like, no, not necessary. He's like, I know what you mean. Yeah, and then I just, like, cut to the point, and it's like the whole backstory is not it's not needed. It's not needed at all. But man, I do it a lot.
Yeah.
I guess we wouldn't have a good podcast if neither of us did that, though.
Right. Time and a place.
Sometimes.
I try not to call them flaws in my system. There's a time and a place for everything, right? This
Absolutely.
is how my brain functions, full stop. I don't have to explain that. Also, full stop.
No, I needed a T1 from my accountant, and I was writing her an email, boop, 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 boo, and all the reasons why I need it. And then I was like, no, she doesn't give a shit. And actually, she's not even the accountant. She works for my accountant, who's a he.
So she's even gonna
Delete,
put more shit out.
basically the entire email. And I was like, please send me my T1, send. That's it. That's all that was needed.
Totally.
The
Yeah.
urge, though, is real. Like it's almost like a compulsion.
Mhm. Yeah. But I love that you're completing the cycle. So I find that for me to be the most effective form of getting out of something is to, because what's really hard about changing our mindsets or changing our behaviors is stopping cold turkey and then just doing something completely different. Like that is very, very hard. And so what I found for myself that's a little bit easier in what you're doing is finishing what I usually do, and then I do something different. And
This is add on.
then,
Yeah.
because then you get to see both sides of it. Like that part of you, that compulsion gets met, it's fed. You've done the long post, the fucking 2.5 page email that no one cares about,
Yeah.
came to the realization that no one cares about it.
I don't even care.
I was going to say, not even you, because you now get to see it in its fullness and you're like, wait, that's where the pause is, right? Because that when their psychology and all of these things say, like when you're trying to change a behavior, there has to be this pause that you give yourself between the thing that triggered you and then the action that you usually take. And so, how do you find that pause? Is you get to create it. The
Mhm.
pause now for you is after you've done the compulsive thing. Now you get to sit and look at it and realize this is fucking ridiculous.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's absurd. You laugh and then you delete it and then you
You
move
know
on.
where else it's like really absurd or actually potentially profound? Parenting.
Mhm.
So this morning I wanted to drop Lennon off at day camp instead of walk because I needed to be back for our work call. And it was a whole thing. I was like, Lennon, I have a work call that starts at 9, like all of these things. I'm like, so I'm gonna drive you to the high school. Like confusing. Now she has to process that I have to be at the house at a certain time, I have to be on the go, like all the things, instead of me just saying, I'm gonna drop you off at the high school,
Yes.
you know?
Ooh. Yeah.
So do you see? Like now I've given her 50 things to process instead of just I'm gonna drive you there. I don't even need to say instead of walk. And in fact, I made it even clearer. I caught myself doing all of this because she's like, "What?" The poor thing is just like, "What?" So when she said that, I was like, "Ugh, back up, back up."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I backtracked, and then I said, "Stay in the car," because we dropped James off first at daycare, and normally like she would get out and we'll walk, we'll do whatever. And so I was just like, "Stay in the car." She's like, "Okay." That's all it needed to be. And instead it was like I talked from the time we left the house to almost daycare trying to explain what we were doing. What a waste of her energy and mine and all of the confusion and probably all of the overstimulation for her. Because if she's anything like me, it's like just tell me what it is. So I'm learning. Oh, I've learned a lot this last week. Just I don't even know where it even stemmed from, but I
Doesn't
just
matter.
became aware that I am over explaining more and more and more. And yeah,
Yeah.
stay in the
What
car.
a
That's what it ended up
moment.
needing to be.
Yeah. And that really goes to show how much that oversharing creates confusion and like an anxiety. Because you telling me that story and sort of me sitting in her sense of self, I'm anxious now.
Like
Given me
what do you need from me? Tell me what you
anxious
need from
now.
me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also this Like there's levels of anxiety too with changing routines and like these things that you expect to happen are no longer happening and now you're throwing it all up at her. It's like this is what we used to do. This is not what we're doing. And then it's like why rather than like this is now the new routine today.
Hmm. Or
Love that.
just here's this one request:
Yeah,
stay in the car.
that's it. Right.
Yeah. So now I'm trying to discern. Well, I guess I'm not really trying, I'm just doing it, but how to action this in such a way. So I'm laughing because now I just feel like I'm just going to have like, I'll just start talking and I'm just going to shut my mouth and I'm just going to go into my head until the whole compulsion cycle conversation ends. And then I'll like say a sentence. It's going to be so bizarre.
Right.
It's going to be great. And I'll hone it like anything else in life. I'm just going to attack this.
I can't wait for her to be old and watch these back.
These, yeah, she can be like, you're fucked.
She's gonna watch them with levels of gratitude and what the fuck.
Yeah, like no wonder. She's going to say, this makes a lot of sense.
It's gonna be so funny.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. No, I love that. I feel like that's what I do at this point to get me to the place where then you no longer have to do that to think it through to then come up with the singular sentence that you really want to say. Eventually, it'll just be the singular statement.
Mhm. Mhm.
Whatever it is that you desire will just come very straightforward. And you'll know when and where to fucking dump.
There will be you. It's you.
Yeah, I
You'll get it
follow.
all.
I will follow. What is that from?
Gilmore Girls?
Yes.
Yeah. My friend Emma, who we were staying with in Idaho, has a goat named Rory. No, a chicken? A goat or a chicken. I love
Ooh.
that.
I
I think that
love
was the girl's name
the
in,
girl's name. Yeah.
yeah,
The daughter. Yeah.
the daughter. Yeah. So yeah, there's goats and chickens. The kids just thought it was the coolest
That is
thing.
so fun. So, what did you go to Idaho for? You went for the 4th of July?
No, we went for Emma, but
Oh,
it happened to be over the 4th of July.
okay. Cool. How
Yeah, it
was
was
it?
wonderful.
Was it hard to get over? Like people were talking about the border was going to be so hard.
No, no,
You're
not
too
at all.
Canadian for it to be hard.
I'm way too Canadian. Like we just pull up. I mean, we're crossing to it like in the woods, you
Okay.
know. Like these aren't busy crossings where I live, and the people are always friendly. I have never had difficulty getting into America. Americans are so everywhere I've been, everyone is so friendly. It's harder to get back into my own country, if I'm being honest.
That's funny. I think I had a harder time. Let's not even do that. I had a different experience going into Canada than I did coming out. Neither were hard.
Yeah.
They were just
Oh yeah, it's
different.
not like it's hard either, just more
No,
questions.
no. Right. Exactly. There were more questions, different questions, but I even noticed that the woman that was letting me in, she was almost giving me, I don't know, she was giving me like nurturing vibe, like mom vibes, like
Hmm.
wanting me to know certain things about being able to cross the border. Whereas like
Mhm.
on my way back, the guy just wanted to shoot the shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I remember
Go
crossing once.
home, kind of thing.
Yeah. I remember crossing once for an event, one of the Highest Self Institute festivals or something like that. And I told the border crossing guy where I was going and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I'm like, "It's an event for manifestation and self-growth and different things." And he was like, "Oh, shit. And this story is going to suck because I can't remember what he said." But he just brought up some random person like in the wellness kind of space, like in the spiritual space. He's like, "Oh, do you know so and so?" And I was like, "Actually, yes." And so then we like talked about that particular influencer for a couple minutes. He's like, "Have the best time. Have the best time." I'm like, "I will. Thank you." And like I barely looked at my passport, you know? Like he's like
Yeah.
waving it in the air.
It's like, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I've also been crossing. I'm sure there's decades of history. I've been crossing the border since I was a child. You know, like we used to go down to the States often. There was a moment in time where our dollar was almost on par with American, like when I was very young, and we would go back to school shopping.
Fun.
We go to Spokane. We go to the Spokane Valley Mall or whatever the hell it's called.
Cute. Stop.
Yeah. No, it was called Northtown Mall. That's what it was. And they had a Macy's. We don't have Macy's. Well, not where I live.
No
We
kidding.
might have Macy's in Canada, but not where
Yeah.
I grew
Oh,
up.
that makes sense. Yeah, I
You
don't have a.
know,
I don't even.
we didn't have a Walmart growing
Where
up.
I'm from, we don't even have a grocery store.
Yeah, we had a grocery store,
We
locally
did
owned.
not. I think we had a grocery store when I first moved there, and then it quickly left.
Mm,
So there's
it
no
did quick,
grocery
yeah.
store. We do have gas stations, I would say. There's quite a few gas stations, but other than that, we don't have a movie theater. We don't have a Walmart. We don't actually have any stores.
Yeah. How far away is your closest store though?
Well, there's like, and I say store in the sense of like a department. We have CVS, Walgreens, both of those exist in my town. But otherwise, the grocery store is right over the bridge. It's probably like 7 minutes
Oh yeah.
driving. You could walk there essentially, but it's just not in our town. Their
Yeah,
towns
yeah,
are
yeah.
so small that you have to just go to the next one. But they're also, I think, more populated than they would be in Canada, where
We have that though too. Like where I grew up in Montrose, there's a gas station and that's it.
singularly.
Like, yeah, there's one gas station, and literally, if you want anything else, you're out of town, right? But town is 6 minutes that way or 10 minutes that way. Like,
Right.
it's, yeah.
Same. So you can from one end to the next. I think it's actually in my mind it's a perfect square. I don't know why, but you can basically go from one end to the next in about I would say less than 10 minutes, no matter what direction you're in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ours just all blend together. Like, it's just like next, in like pockets of habituated space. And then you're in the mountains for an hour.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's
then
the difference. We don't have there's not as many mountains on this side of the country as there are where you're from because you're from the
west.
west, right? Yeah. So I think the only things we have here is it the Appalachian, which aren't as big.
Yeah, they're more like hills.
Facts. When I was driving from California to Connecticut, obviously I had to go through the Sierras and I was like, this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. Like when they're talking about mountains, that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So when I get to, I think I was maybe like New Yorkish, New York, Massachusetts, and they're like, hill coming up. And I'm like, hill, right? Mountainous hill. And it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2%
2%
decline.
grade.
Yeah. I was like,
Huh.
I could run
Cool.
this. I could
Yeah.
walk up this by myself. Like, don't need shoes, don't need sticks,
Just roll.
in
Whee!
my boots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my kids when we ride around Crossfield on our bikes. Len's like, start pedaling. The hill's coming. I'm like, oh, child. Like we live on a plateau. Like Calgary is a plateau. I can see the Rockies. Like, we're right close to the mountains. We can drive to them, but Crossfield is a prairie. Like it's flat as flat can be. And like we get these hills, sure. But it's like it's not.
Not. It's
Like,
literally
let's
not.
go riding literally anywhere in BC.
Or when I think of San Francisco and the road is
Yeah.
literally like that. You're
Yeah.
like,
That's like Nelson. That's like Nelson.
like
Yeah. Oh God, it's good. But it's just again, like I say shift. Mind shift for me is really hard to say. I don't even know if that's a word. I think I'm trying to say mindset, but I turn mind shift into mind shit, and then mind shit makes me laugh. Because it is all mind
I'm
shit.
shit. I think it is
So it's
funny.
like their mind shit is like, oh my God, these hills. And it's just so funny because this is what they grew up with. This is what they're knowing. And it just is
It's all
such a
perspective.
lesson.
Yeah, it's
It's
all
just such a
perspective.
lesson in perception.
Totally. Absolutely. What are you drawing attention to? What does your everyday life look like?
And what are you limiting yourself to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, that's the real question, right? Within that perception, what's the limitation?
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. We'll talk about that next time.